Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. Today, we're going to be talking about something pretty interesting
Yeah,
in the world of cryptocurrency ETFs.
for sure.
You sent over some articles,
Yep.
and we're going to break them down together. And the main kind of interesting thing that stuck out to me at first was that even though, we're seeing overall growth this year in the crypto ETF sector,
Right.
Bitcoin ETFs specifically seem to be struggling a little bit.
Yeah, it seems like there's a pretty big outflow from Bitcoin ETFs specifically, to the tune of about $671.9 million.
Wow. That's like a lot.
It is a lot of money. Yeah.
Yeah.
To give you a little perspective, that's about 5% of the total assets that are being managed in Bitcoin ETFs.
Oh, wow. So that's
That's a pretty sizable share.
That's a pretty big chunk.
Yeah, and it really kind of suggests that there's some shifting sentiment among investors.
Definitely. And one of the articles here specifically points out that Fidelity's FBTC ETF, it got hit pretty hard.
Oh, yeah.
$208.5 million was pulled out of that,
Wow.
which, I mean, Fidelity's a big name, right? So that's got to raise some eyebrows.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Fidelity, they're not,
Yeah,
a small player.
not messing around.
Yeah. So what do you think that tells us about maybe how institutional investors are feeling about, the coin's future?
Yeah, I mean, it's like these are the big fish.
Right.
What are they thinking?
Well, I mean, you have to remember that these kinds of investors, they tend to have a much longer term view
Right.
than your average investor, you know.
They're not day-trading Bitcoin, probably.
Yeah, exactly. So for them to be pulling back on this scale, it seems to me that they might be kind of rethinking their position a little bit.
Makes sense.
And, Bitcoin's price has been pretty volatile recently, so maybe that's playing into it.
Right. Yeah. So it's not just like a pump and dump for them. They're actually like, okay,
Right.
is this a long-term hold for us?
Yeah. Are we really in this for the long haul?
Exactly. Now, another interesting tidbit here is that BlackRock,
Yeah.
their IBIT ETF,
Uh-huh.
it seems to be holding pretty steady.
Yeah, they're doing okay.
They're doing all right. Yeah. What do you think? What's BlackRock doing that maybe these other funds aren't?
Well, I think it speaks to a couple things. One, their investment strategy. BlackRock is known for taking a really long-term value-driven approach.
Right.
And they also attract a different type of investor, I think.
Gotcha.
Someone who's maybe not as spooked by, these short-term ups and downs.
They got diamond hands, we call that.
Exactly. Yeah. And they're more focused on the fundamentals about is this a good asset long-term?
So it's not just about like catching the wave. It's like actually understanding
Right.
where this thing is going in the future.
Exactly.
Interesting. And it's not just Bitcoin either that seems to be struggling. Ethereum ETFs,
Oh, yeah.
they're also seeing some losses now. And this is notable because they were on like an 18-day streak.
They were killing it.
Yeah, they were crushing it. And then,
And then it just stopped.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
what do you think that tells us about the broader crypto ETF landscape?
Well, I think it shows that it's not just Bitcoin that's being affected,
Mm.
this downturn. It's kind of hitting the whole market.
The whole space.
Yeah, and I think it really highlights how all of these different crypto markets are really connected.
Yeah. One sneezes, the other one gets a cold.
Exactly.
So even though things are maybe looking a little shaky right now, it is important to remember that zoom out look at the bigger picture.
Yep.
Overall, there's still been $37 billion flowing into crypto ETFs this year.
That's right.
So, I mean, that has to be a sign that there's still, interest in the market as a whole.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's important to keep things in perspective. There's been a dip, but the overall trend is still positive.
Still positive, yeah. So connecting this back to the listener, we're seeing all this volatility right now.
Right.
What would you say is causing it? These articles mention price corrections.
In Bitcoin and Ethereum, but
Yeah.
what does that actually mean for
Right.
someone who's listening to this?
So price corrections, they basically just mean that the price is going down from a previous high. And that happens all the time in crypto. It's a really volatile market.
Right.
And for individual investors, it's a little bit of it's a double-edged sword.
It's risky.
Yeah, you can buy low, but you also risk it going lower.
Yeah, so it's all about balancing that risk and reward.
Exactly.
All right, so just to recap everything we talked about today, it seems like even though it's been a good year overall for crypto ETFs,
Right.
these recent dips are making some investors a little nervous.
Yeah, especially the big institutions.
Yeah, they're starting to pull back a little bit. So that leads to the big question
The big question.
that we'll leave with the listener.
Okay, hit me.
Is this a temporary blip,
Okay.
or is this like a fundamental change
Ooh.
in the crypto landscape?
Yeah, is this the beginning of the end, or is this just a little bump in the road?
Exactly. And I think that's what everyone's trying to figure out.
Yeah, keep your eyes peeled.
Pay attention.
Yeah.
Do your research
Exactly.
and make sure you're making informed decisions.
For sure.
Excellent. Well, thanks for joining us for another deep dive.
Always a pleasure.
We'll catch you next time.
See ya.